Hi student, this is Professor Harmony Kim who will teach Practicum in Buddhist Ministry during the winter semester at University of the East. Today, I will go over the syllabus in the first half of this lecture, and in the second half of the lecture, I will introduce the beginning stage of Buddhist ministry. In other words, how the Buddha suggests his followers to teach his Dharma to the people who want to know about the Buddhist principles. Let's look at the syllabus. First, course description. The practice of a Buddhist ministry demands the development of compassion and non-judgmental mind, and at the same time offers intense opportunities to develop these qualities. Ministers serve in variety of settings in which people are under stress of one kind or another, including hospitals and hospices, prisons and jails, and military. This course is a 2-semester sequence of training. Over the course of the sessions, through discussion, readings, meditation, and internship, the students will not only learn about ministry, but begin to develop the necessary skills and understanding for compassionate service to others who are in need, whether they are Buddhist or not. Therefore, I will mostly cover about Buddhist ministry, but I will also include the perspective of Christianity ministry. Therefore, you will study the meditation in Buddhism as well as meditation in Christianity. This slide includes Buddhist ministry program offered in Harvard University. So I directly cite the information of a Buddhist ministry program organized by Harvard University. Buddhist ministry program means future Buddhist religious professionals in terms appropriate to modern global conditions. This coordinates a range of courses on the history, thought, and practice of Buddhism in Buddhist language and in Buddhist art of ministry. The initiative also supports the field education of Buddhist ministry students in hospitals and other sites of pastoral care, and offers the insight of Buddhist textual traditions and practices to students from all religious traditions who study ministry at Harvard Divinity School. Buddhist ministry program teach courses on pastoral care and counseling, preaching and worship, spiritual formation, social activism, leadership, and denominational polity, highlighting the application of Buddhist principles to socially engaged action in the world. Students in the program also have the opportunity to choose from the many courses offered more broadly at Harvard Divinity School and other schools at Harvard for their arts of ministry requirements in such areas of psychology and counseling, education, conflict resolution, community organizing, and leadership development. So this course cannot include the broad scope offered by Harvard University School, but we extract some part of ministry program in terms of idea. Therefore, I will introduce how students can provide spiritual guidance to the people, or how students learn to transmit the significance of Buddhist teachings in the contemporary world. Therefore, you will study Buddhist textual tradition. I more focus on early Pali Canon. Therefore, we will read the Buddha's sermons from Pali Canon, 4 kinds of Nikaya. Upon completion of this course, each student will be able to understand the basic concepts and theories of Buddhist meditation and understand the basic concept and theories of Buddhist ministry, also understand the main principles and functions of a practicum of Buddhist ministry. Instruction will consist of lecture video, reading assignment, and handouts. Classroom questions and discussions are strongly encouraged. This is based on on-site education. Right now, you are learning by online environment. Therefore, it is a little bit hard to share the discussion. However, other instructional technique may also be employed, such as audio-visual presentation, speakers, critical thinking exercise, and group activities. Also, group activities is a little bit hard, but you will definitely watch lecture video, and also you will submit some quiz exercise. Therefore, I can count your participation in this lecture. Each class will have a lecture on the assigned topic. Every week, you will have a certain topic, and based on that topic, I will provide lecture video. Students are expected to read the material prior to the class. Well, I might suggest you to read certain chapters, or I might suggest you to watch some bite-sized video from YouTube. So you just get those information from my lecture video. And the instructor will demonstrate problem and case study in class. Students may work alone or in groups to do assigned problem in class. I always give you 3 or 4 quiz questions, and then you need to solve those questions, which are not very difficult. Required textbook. As I said just before, you will read Buddhist text, especially traditional text. So, for example, Numerical Discourse of the Buddha in Anguttara Nikaya. The second one is Long Discourse of Buddha, Digha Nikaya, and Middle Length Discourse of the Buddha, Majjhima Nikaya, and Connected Discourse of the Buddha, Samyutta Nikaya. You can get these textbooks by electronically. So if you type electronic textbook of Digha Nikaya, you can access the Long Discourse of the Buddha. Middle Length Discourse of the Buddha, Majjhima Nikaya, these are all include the Buddha's sermon. Depending on the length of Buddha's preaching, the content of length is long, then Bhikkhus collect them and group them into Long Discourse of the Buddha. Long Discourse of the Buddha will appear as Digha Nikaya, and then I'm going to abbreviate in DN. Middle length of Buddha's discourse will be represented in MM, Majjhima Nikaya, and Anguttara Nikaya based on numerical discourse. For example, there are important 5 factors to form the human being. What are those 5 factors? 5 khandhas: Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Samkhara, Vijnana. 5 kinds of factors to form mental and physical condition of a human being. Then the group of 5 include all Buddhist idea or principles grouped by number 5. Such a way, some of Buddha's sermon group them and form the book we call that Numerical Discourse of the Buddha. Another name is Anguttara Nikaya. The last one, Samyutta Nikaya, SN, represent Connected Discourse of the Buddha. It's more like based on the same kinds of a theme. For example, what are the factors conditions to cause suffering. And then Buddha preaches or enumerate, these mental state cause suffering. What are the conditions to liberate from suffering? Buddha give a preaching regarding the factors or conditions which related to liberate mental affliction. So based on the theme or idea or concept, those similar kinds of underlying ideas group them together and to form the book, we call that Samyutta Nikaya. And Samyutta Nikaya is represented in SN. These are the mainly used textbook in this course. In addition to that, I will include the book, The Buddha and the Gospel of Buddhism. And you are familiar with Bhikkhu ordination. And actually, during the Buddha's period, there was Bhikkhuni ordination in Theravada tradition. But Buddhism has a hard time in Indian continent, and then Buddhism escaped from the India and spread into Tibet, Asia, and Southeast Asia. In the course of transforming Buddhism, Bhikkhuni ordination disconnected. But nowadays, Bhikkhuni ordination become revived. Therefore, I might introduce the revival of Bhikkhuni ordination in Theravada tradition. Whenever you need to read some source, I will provide certain page or a chapter from these additional resources. So you don't have to purchase these resources. Of course, this required textbook, also you don't have to buy this textbook, but you can freely access this text by online. My name is Harmony Kim, and this is the email address which you can contact me. It is possible to reach me by email at any time, and you will get response from me within 48 hours during weekdays. And weekend, I seldom reply to students because during weekend I have to have my own life. I have to go to grocery and I have to do some housework. Therefore, when you send the email during weekend, I might reply a little bit late. But during weekdays, I will reply back to you within 48 hours. If you have any question in addition to the assignment, please send me email with the subject title, additional question on the email. Just in case if students keep asking the information which have been clearly addressed in the lecture video, I might not respond in a timely manner. In other words, you need to send me email every week, because at the end of a lecture video, I always put 3 or 4 quiz questions. You have to send email about the answer of this quiz. This will happen routinely in weekly base. Your email sent to me weekly base can be counted as your attendance. After first week, you will get used to that. But if you have an additional question, please put the subject title of your email, include additional question. Some students worry about whether I receive your email or not. I do not reply back to you and say that I receive your email. I do not do that because I have many students, so I cannot individually informing that I receive your email. But how you can verify whether I receive your email or not? Please include your email CC. Therefore, if something wrong in your attendance at the end of this course, you can show me that email. This has not happened so far. In other words, every student send me email in this mygmail.com. I always receive your email and then I check your attendance as well as your some of the point of your quiz answer. Then mostly I focus on the attendance point. Therefore, keep in mind you need to send email weekly base and do not much worry about whether I receive it or not. Whenever you send to this email, I always receive. And just in case, please, whenever you send the email to me, please include your email address CC. Course policies is subject to change. In other words, the instructor reserves the right to change or modify any or the entire syllabus and will notify students of any changes. So I already organized the topic of every week, but this topic might be a little bit modified and changed. So, but you don't have to much worry about that. You just listen and solve a quiz and send the answer of a quiz to me weekly base, and then you will be okay. Attendance policy. Please make every attempt to be in class during all sessions. Regular and punctual attendance as well as active student participation is an important part of a student's education. Attendance is strictly monitored. All missed assignment and or additional assignment must be completed according to professor's guidelines. Students may not miss more than 75% of class sessions. So you have a freedom to miss this class maybe 2 or 3 times. So 3 times is the maximum. 3 consecutive absence require formal notice. Participation policy. Each student is expected to be an active participant in weekly quiz. Sending me those answers of a weekly quiz via email will count your participation. Your class participation grade will reflect the quality and consistency of your contributions. Mere attendance does not represent participation. Frequent absence will severely impact your participation grade. Academic integrity. Each student must do his or her own work. Copying assignment will be considered cheating and all parties will be penalized. Please do not wait until the last minute to do your assignment. I encourage students to discuss their classwork and assignment together. You learn a lot from your peers since you go through the same learning process. However, after the discussion, each of you should work on your own assignment independently from scratch. One learns by doing, not by working together to print 2 copies. This is not learning. So you can discuss with classmates, but this academic integrity is based on on-site education. Right now, you have a very little chance to meet the classmate. So in this online environment, you have to work by yourself most time. And the quiz which I will give you every week are not very difficult questions. You can easily find the answer from the lecture video. So do not much worry about right answer of the quiz. Assignment or quiz will be announced through lecture video, and the due of each assignment is until Wednesday midnight. Following week, all work must be turned in on the due date by email. No late work will be accepted. So every Thursday, you will have a new round of quiz. Therefore, the previous week quiz must be turned in until the following week, Wednesday midnight. How you can be evaluated? Homework assignment quiz, 30%. So whenever you submit weekly quiz, you earn 30%. Midterm examination, I will give multiple choice question, about 20 questions in midterm examination. It's based on lecture video. And the last one, final examination, count 40%. Also, final examination consists of multiple choice question plus one essay question. This essay question, once you read the question, you will have 1 week to prepare for the answer. So you have enough time to look at some Buddhist traditional text, and then you need to add your opinion at the end of your essay. I will provide detailed information when you are close to take final examination. So final examination, you will solve 20 kinds of multiple choice question plus one essay question. So total will be 100 points. And when your performance belong to 90 to 100%, you will get the category of A, 80 to 89%, B, 70 to 79%, C, 60 to 69%, D, lower than 60%, will receive F grade. This is a tentative course schedule. So from now on, you will study the beginning stage of Buddhist ministry while the Buddha was alive. So while the Buddha was an unenlightened bodhisattva, so the Buddha was a human being, and the Buddha needed to practice to be fully awakened. Before he fully awakened, the Buddha, we call Buddha was an bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is very close to get fully enlightened, but not yet fully awakened. So it's kind of a practicing period. So while the Buddha was an unenlightened bodhisattva, the Buddha studied with Alana Kalama and Udaka Lamaputta. They are ascetics. They are Brahmin ascetics. So actually, the Buddha learned a lot about meditation from this Alama Kalama and Udaka Lamaputta, two ascetics. Gautama Siddhartha was disappointed with the teaching by these two teachers, such as Alana Kalama and Udaka Lamaputta, because the Buddha realized very little likelihood to attain fully awakening in this life. So Buddha wanna fully awakened in this life, not after death. But Gautama Siddhartha realized that once Gautama followed these two teachers' instruction, his enlightenment might occur after death, but he wanna be fully awakened in this life. So Gautama Siddhartha doubt and refused to follow these two teachers' instructions. Why? Because Gautama Siddhartha thought that this dharma does not lead to disenchantment, to dispassion, to cessation, to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana, but only to reappearance in the base of nothingness. Also, Gautama Siddhartha thought that this dharma does not lead to disenchantment, to dispassion, to cessation, to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana, but only to reappearance in the base of neither perception nor non-perception. So, the cause of suffering might disappear. So, temporarily realized peace, temporarily stay peaceful, quiet state. But this suffering come back again. This suffering, the passion, enchantment, all kinds of mental affliction can reappear in the different mental realm. Gautama Siddhartha want to reach certain state which completely disenchanted, these passions fully cease the suffering. Therefore, Gautama Siddhartha finally declined to follow these two teachers' instruction. So the Buddha practiced by his own way, and he reached fully awakened. Once the Buddha became fully awakened, the Buddha wanted to teach Alana Kalama and Udaka Ramaputta, his teachers, first. First, he want to teach them, his previous teacher, not previous, his teacher, but these two ascetics already passed away. In case of Alana Kalama, passed away 7 days ago before the Buddha fully awakened. And Udaka Ramaputta passed away 1 day earlier than the Buddha fully awakened. It's been wondered why the Buddha chose his previous teachers first for his teaching. Maybe these two ascetics were very close to be fully enlightened, but need one last instruction to lead this enchantment, this passion and cessation, so that these enchantment, passion and suffering not reappear in any mental realm. In other words, the Buddha knows the discrepancy between Brahmanism and Buddhism with respect to the expedient approach to reach the ultimate goal, Nibbana, in this life. So his two previous teachers were very close to reach Nibbana. But one last step, one last instruction required to reach the ultimate goal. Otherwise, this enchantment, passion, and suffering will come back again, and then we have no way to get out of the circle of life, suffering of life. The Buddha refused to teach at the beginning after his awakening. In other words, even though the Buddha want to teach his two teachers, and the Buddha find out that they already passed away, then the Buddha did not want to teach at the beginning after his awakening. But great compassion made him change his mind. He already knew, he already realized the truth. But when he looked at other sentient beings really in the circle of suffering, then he felt, oh, so sad and compassion them. Then, okay, I will teach them. Therefore, they can fully enlightened, they can liberate themselves. So the Buddha's teaching career began with full of loving kindness to all sentient beings. So, who the Buddha taught first? Once the Buddha became fully awakened, the first ascetic wanderer the Buddha met was Ajivaka Upaka. And Ajivaka Upaka asked the Buddha the question, "Who is your teacher?" The Buddha replied, "I have no teacher and one like me. I am the teacher supreme." And Ajivaka Upaka, also ascetics, once this ascetic listened Buddha's answer, he shook his head and proceeded on his way. In other words, Ajivaka Upaka doubted the Buddha's answer. "Oh, I do not believe you are the teacher supreme." And he just ignored the Buddha and go his way. So Ajivaka Upaka missed to listen to any Dharma taught by the Buddha. This appears in Majjhima Nikaya. Then the Buddha approached his 5 old pigu. So Gautama Siddhartha practiced with other pigus together, other 5 ascetics together. And the main practice the Gautama Siddhartha engaged at the beginning was self-mortification. And this self-mortification led his physical condition ruined. So his physical status became extremely weak. And at the time, one woman provided milk to Gautama Siddhartha, and then Gautama Siddhartha received and drank the milk. And then, once 5 old ascetics saw that situation, then these 5 old ascetics judged that the Gautama Siddhartha, you live luxuriously. And 5 old ascetics left Gautama Siddhartha. So 5 old ascetics judged Gautama Siddhartha to abandon striving. The Buddha expressed his intention to instruct 5 old ascetics then by saying this way, "Listen, pigus, the deathless has been obtained from the home life into homelessness." Deathless. Maybe ascetics believe in that you can reach fully enlightened after death. But the Buddha reached the deathless in this life, not after passed away. The 5 ascetics replied, "Since you live luxuriously, having given up your striving and reverted to luxury, how will you have achieved any superhuman state, any distinction in knowledge and vision worthy of the noble ones?" And Majjhima Nikaya Sutra describe a circumstance in which the Buddha taught them. They provide detailed description regarding how the Buddha taught them. So if we are interested, then you can find Majjhima Nikaya, the first chapter, 172. Then you can find the detailed process stating how the Buddha determined to preach 5 previous ascetics. Now I write down 5 pigus. Eventually, these 5 ascetics listen to Buddha's sermon, then they become 5 pigus. The Buddha gave a preaching in a manner of 2 or 3 pigus together, depending on the rotation for arms round. So 5 pigus listen to Buddha's preaching, maybe taking not just 1 hour, maybe need to pass the lunch time. And then in Theravada Buddhism, early Buddhism, they need to go out arms round for lunch. Therefore, 2 or 3 bhikkhus go out, and the leftover 2 or 3 bhikkhus listen to the Buddha's sermon. They attained knowledge and declare their last birth after being instructed by the Buddha, indicating that there were 6 enlightened ones in this world, including the Buddha. So 5 bhikkhus, they become fully enlightened once they listen the sermon by the Buddha. Then include one more, Gautama Siddhartha, already fully enlightened. So there are 6 enlightened one at that time. After expounding the Dharma to the 5 bhikkhus in Benares, Benares is the location in India, the followers reached 60 and the Buddha said, in other words, once followers, it could be ascetics, it could be lay followers, they listen to Buddha's preaching, then they become fully enlightened. So the followers maybe first 5 and it increased in 60s. At the time, the Buddha says to his follower in a way that walk monk on tour for the blessing of the manifold, for the happiness of the manifold out of compassion for the world, for the welfare, the blessing, the happiness of devas and man. Let not 2 of you go by one way. Monks teach Dharma, which is lovely at the beginning, lovely in the middle, lovely at the ending. This description appears in Vinaya Pitaka, and you can see, let not 2 of you go by one way. So, when you provide Buddha's teaching to other people, go by yourself like a rhinoceros. So just keep in mind, let not 2 of you go by one way. So 60 followers, they will go somewhere else to provide Buddha's teaching. But do not go one way. Do not go same way. And do not go 2 of you go by one way. The Buddhist missionaries were dispatched and they went like a rhinoceros. The Buddha provided gradual teachings to them, and the candidate who attained the stream entrance became ordained, otherwise remained as lay followers. So stream entrance means just entering the path in which lead to the Nibbana. In order to follow the path to lead to the Nibbana, you have to accommodate with certain precept and practice, so that just walk through that passageway, then you will reach certain stage. The beginning stage, we call that stream entrance. And the next stage is once returner. The next stage is no returner. And the final stage is fully enlightened Arahant or Nibbana. So stream entrance means just the beginning stage of ordination. If some followers decide not to be ordained, then they remain as lay followers. But they are also part of Buddhist followers. So there are 4 groups: Bhikkhu, Bhikkhuni, male lay followers, female lay followers. They all of them, we group them together called Sangha. And then this Sangha the member of Sangha can go any way to preach Buddhist idea and Buddhist teachings. Monastics and lay followers had their own precepts, some of which were overlapped. So the precept which must be kept by monastics, are different from the precept kept by lay followers. But some of them are overlapped, such as do not kill the living being. Do not steal the things which are not belong to you. Such as 5 precepts. Some students are already familiar with the 5 precepts, which you will study a little bit later in the following session. As a fully enlightened one continued to teach his followers during his journey, 1,250 bhikkhus accompanied the Buddha. The more and more followers increase, and this information was given by Gombrich. He is a very famous Buddhist scholar, and he wrote a book, The World of Buddhism, and he stated that 1,250 bhikkhus accompanied the Buddha. It was inevitable to form the Buddhist community composed of bhikkhus, bhikkhuni, male and female lay followers called the Sangha. The candidate decided to enter the order was presented with a ceremony of admission to enter the Sangha, and eventually became a forest dweller, that is, homelessness. The significance of the existence of the Sangha lies in not only a role of practicing together and educating lay people, but also it plays a role of preserving the Buddha's teachings up to a contemporary era without dying them out. This kind of system can hardly be found in other religions in the world. The Buddha is really smart. He wanna preserve Buddha's teaching, and he invent a certain way to avoid removing Dharma out. Therefore, he state by his mouth, set up the Sangha. This kind of system cannot be found in other religions. This is the beauty of Buddhism, and because of Sangha, the Buddhist teachings continue and will not disappear forever. The Sangha was organized as a community quite unlike the Jainis and other renouncers, Brahmanis, uniquely well organized to preserve not only a way of life, but also a body of scripture in an age before writing was known or at least widely used. This means Buddha's teaching was not preserved as a writing at the beginning. The writing system was not very well developed while Buddha was alive. Therefore, these arahants, they memorize Buddha's sermon verbally, and then later they can be recorded on a paper. Therefore, we can access them by the book. That's why a body of scripture in an age before writing was known. So ascetics reciter and memorize that, and then nowadays we can access written record of recital of ascetics. So formation, founding the Sangha, this is important to preserve the Buddha's teaching down the road. So how may the Buddha transform his followers? What kind of teaching Buddha provide to his followers? These kinds of things will be covered in this course, and more detail his teachings will be introduced in the next week. So, as I said, you have to solve 3 quiz questions. This kind of quiz appear at the end of a lecture video, weekly base. Quiz 1. How many bhikkhus has the Buddha taught right after his awakening? You just write down quiz 1 and the answer might be, for example, C, and you have to submit that answer to me by email. Question 2. Has the Buddha had a teacher before his full enlightenment? Sometimes I give you true or false question. I think I introduced these 2 previous teachers' name in this lecture video, so you know what is the answer of quiz 2. How many bhikkhu has the Buddha suggested to go by one way and teach Dharma? Once the Buddha's followers become 60, the Buddha stated that, let not 2 of you go by one way. So you also know the answer of this question. So you have to send the answer of a quiz like this way. Your name, write down your name, last name, comma, first name, and answers of week 1 quiz. Quiz 1, answer ABCD, one of them. And quiz 2, A or B. Quiz 3, one out of ABCD. And you just send this information to my email address. Then I will count your attendance. Your answer might be wrong. That's okay. But you'd better choose correct answer because some quiz question might appear in the midterm or final examination. You just screening the lecture video and then you can easily find the answer of a quiz and then send the quiz answers every weekly base. So today is the first week. So today, keep in mind you have to send the first quiz answer to my email address and the due date will be Wednesday midnight. So if you have any question, please do not hesitate to contact me. This is all for the first week. Thank you. Bye now.